This is a great budget for education in the state of Florida. We're proud to say that we've been ranked pretty consistently over the last few years #1 in public higher education system, and largely because of how affordable our education system is. We're also #1 in education freedom, and I think we're going to bolster that ranking significantly after this legislative session. #1 in parental involvement in education, and I think we're going to do more to fortify that. And then if you look at the 2022 NAEP results, the nation's report card, we came in 3rd and 4th respectively in 4th grade reading and math, but if you control for demographics, we would clearly be #1 in the country in both 4th grade reading and 4th grade math. And so we're proud of that. We want to build off that success. So this budget will have a record $26 billion for K through 12 education, $1.6 billion for early childhood learning and for VPK, and $1 billion for our salary increases for teachers in our categorical budget. You know, we actually had to you increase education spending, and you have school unions that will use that for different things, and it doesn't go to teachers enough. So we said this can only go for teacher salaries. We put this in several years ago, and we've increased it every year. This is a $200 million increase from last year. But, you know, it's frustrating. We did that. The budget was signed last spring, and you still have some school districts, they hadn't paid their teachers more when they had the money in the kitty, because this is all playing politics with that. So this is the biggest investment that's ever been made, but I think they need to actually pay them on schedule. So maybe we'll put something in there to make sure that they actually do it and they don't drag it out. But that's a big, big win for teachers. We are going to have an increase of $205 in per pupil spending, $8,453 per student. That's the largest that Florida has ever had. Increase in the base student allocation for $121. We'll do $400 million for school safety and mental health program. That's an increase of $60 million. $5 million, which is an increase from, I think, $3.5 million last year for security at our Jewish day schools, and $10 million for our new teacher recruitment program that's seeking to enlist retired military veterans and first responders to come and serve their community in the classroom. For higher education, we are fully funding at $614.5 million Bright Future scholarships for the citizens of Florida. I mean, I think it's good that if you're a good student, you may have options to go other places. Decide to go to a state university in Florida, basically you could go for free, or at least have the vast majority of it paid for, you know, in terms of your tuition. And so you can graduate using Bright Futures with virtually no debt in the state of Florida. And that's not true in many other parts of the country. In fact, our out-of-state tuition is lower than some places in-state too. Someone was telling me about like how much it costs to go in-state in some of these other places, way, way more than it costs to go in the state of Florida. So we're proud of that. We're doing, I mentioned this yesterday, we're going to put $100 million in the kitty for each of our universities to compete for, where they can go and recruit with higher salaries, great tenured, potentially professors, maybe assistant, maybe tenured, bring them on and be able to pay for really, really good performance. I mean, some of these people in some of these schools, they don't make that much money. If you find really good people, you know, we now are putting money where our mouth is. You could go and recruit those. And we're going to do, in a few weeks, I think, when the LBC meets, they're going to do $15 million for New College for the recruiting there. You know, you've seen there's some changes there. We're reorienting the mission for classical liberal arts instead of what it was. And I think there's huge interest in this, but you're going to be able to go there, potentially live in a very nice part of the world, and make more than whatever you were making. So we're happy to make that investment. We're also happy to continue to make investments in workforce education. Yes, higher education, traditional, it's an important role for that. We've been supportive, but that is not the only pathway to success. We understand credentials at the high school level, state colleges, other workforce programs are absolutely essential, and not only giving opportunity for Floridians to be able to do very well with very minimal debt, but also it's important for our economy to have these key positions filled. So for example, when I became governor, Florida was producing about 650 truck drivers through the commercial driver's licenses every year. Now we have the ability to do about 3,500 every year I guess you're going to start having people retire who are reaching that age, and people coming behind are not in sufficient numbers right now to replace. So we're doing our part to make sure that that's good. So we're strong on education across the board. Early education, of course, affordability in higher education, teacher salary increases, but also workforce education, and really stressing that these are honorable pursuits. Getting a piece of paper to hang on your wall does not make you better than somebody else who may have a credential, and some of these people are doing very, very well. So we're excited about that. Infrastructure and economic development. I mentioned the $7 billion for moving Florida forward. Some of those projects are in dire need. You know, you could just get stuck on I-4 and Champions Gate and Ocala by 75, by the Turnpike. You could just get stuck. And it's not just rush hour traffic. I mean, at any hour of the day, you can potentially get stuck. And I don't see that alleviated until we actually do what needs to be done. So rather than wait another decade or so, we're going to start those projects now. So that's $7 billion. $4 billion in cash from this budget directly. They'll leverage that to get to the $7 billion, and we are going to be making sure that we're supporting that all the way through. But our FDOT work program, we're going to be able to fund at a record $13.4 billion. And so, growing state, you got to do what you got to do.